I am coming on to chat about Create Joy in January, which is my month-long free program that I am co-hosting with the book. Not with the book. I'm not co-hosting it with the book. I'm co-hosting it with the co-author of my book, Russell Noelty. So this is our book, How to Build a World-Class Substack. We published it in 2024. It was the very first Substack book. It is crammed full of advice and expertise that is still very relevant today. So we wrote a book together. At that point, we'd never met in real life. Now we have, because I went over to speak at Russell's conference in New Orleans last March. But to cut the long story short, we wanted to do something else together this year. And so January Joy is it. So it is a month-long program of free activity to bring joy to your creative process. It's about joyful growth, yes, but it's about joyful, sustainable growth. It's about creating joy for yourself in your own work and in your creative practice. And it's about really reaching the audience that you want to reach. So less of the dopamine hits of going viral, although going viral is always nice. It's more about the depth of connection in joyful, sustainable growth here on Substack. So you're so welcome to join. I will go on Substack and put the link in the comments for you because, like I said, it has jumped out of being my main publication. I have a few publications here. Ask me why in the comments. So let me see if I can just find where my live is on here. I'll knock the volume off and then I'll be able to put it in the comments for you. Right, if I click there, it's going to let me do it. Yes, okay. So this is the beautiful thing about going live. It's a bit weird seeing yourself live, but you can go onto the laptop and then paste something in the comments. So I have pasted the link to the Joyful Growth Club in the comments. So if any of you want to join for a free month-long Joyful Growth month, then come and join us. So we started on the 1st of January. It's mainly mindset stuff so far. So I've been really called to just share more of the work that has really massively impacted my mindset on showing up, on holding more, on having an audience that grew really quickly, like all of that sort of stuff. So I've mainly talked about that so far in the challenge, in the program. And then we're going to have challenges come in. So Russell's challenge is first. Russell's is called Frictionless Growth. And then mine is a Joyful Growth Challenge, which I ran last year and it was so popular. Like people loved it. And like anything you might expect from the work that I do, it's all about really connecting people because I think from a place of connection, we feel more compelled to show up. It can feel a little bit strange having an online presence or like waiting for audiences or readers to find you. Whereas actually, if you feel like you are creating in tandem with other people or you've got supportive colleagues here, it can just feel like a more pleasurable experience. So there's a big focus on that. Like there is in all of my work. I'm very, very community focused. So yeah, it feels really, really nice to be able to offer that extension as we start the year. I feel like with the way Substack changed last year, there was a lot of like hunger, like call it like the hungry ghost. I think it's a Buddhist term, isn't it? But it's that thing, it's like an insatiable, nothing will ever be enough. And actually, the depth of connection that we can find on an individual, like one-to-one basis is so, so beautiful. So example would be I'm meeting a colleague and friend on Friday for coffee on Zoom. We met on Substack and we met through a friends community, actually. We've met in real life. We stayed at a house. Like she's a beautiful author and writer and yeah, it's just really beautiful. We've just stayed in each other's lives and we met through Substack. So obviously there's the example of Russell and I doing the work that we want to do together, but there is a lot of joy in connection. And I think sometimes when we get in our own heads about being read or people finding our work, we forget that and we forget there's lots of other people. And not to swing into comparison at all. I've actually just finished recording a course module on imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome can be voices from the past, like voices from, family or people that didn't believe in you or bosses that were a bit mean to you. That's what happened to me. It can be that stuff and it can kind of lodge itself in, but sometimes it can just be like the overwhelm of like not feeling safe, not feeling safe. Like I would never be able to do that because you've seen someone else's work. And actually as a human experience, that can all feel quite big when all you want to do is write your best work and find your best people. So, yeah, so I think I've been more fascinated with the mindset side the last little while. I think for a while back in 2024, I was just firefighting. I was just trying to make it all work. And like now, my nervous system's come back to center. My daughter's sleeping through the night. My husband's not as sick. Like there's more reason to just be calmer, to just be chilled when it comes to creating online. And also there's this beautiful invitation to legacy. So I talk about this a lot, but one of my mentors asked in a container, what do you want to be known for? And it was something her mentor had asked her. And I was just like, wow. Like, wow. I can tell you what I don't want to be known for. Like, like I didn't actually know, like I didn't have the clarity of what I wanted to be known for at that time, but I thought it was a beautiful invitation to find out. And again, that's a lot of joyful growth for me, like creating, not for creating's sake, but because there's something bigger than just creating. There's a legacy there. There's something that feels really important. There's something that can live on after I've written the piece or after I've made the YouTube video, whatever it is. So yeah, so that might be a nice invitation for you today. Also might be too big. You might be like, oh, come on, Claire. It's the first week of January. We've had a lot of snow here, so that's been beautiful. My kids are both off school today. So they were meant to be back. My son went back yesterday. But what do you think about this, right? So I honestly can't really believe it. Like, I'm really trying to process the injustice. Injustice, is that a word? The anger. I'll just say it how it is. I'm just quite angry. So when it snows at my son's school, they don't let them outside. And I just feel like, and I feel this about a lot of things in modern life, like, why? We've had a lifetime of kids. Like my granddad would tell me, he's not alive now, bless him, but he would tell me that he walked 6 miles to school in all the weathers. Now, there's no way that when my granddad was learning, they didn't let him outside at playtime. Like, there's just no way. Like, and now my son has to go to a school that is like a prison from 8:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock and not have any fresh air all day. So anyway, today, I woke my husband up and I said, I just feel like maybe we don't send him today. And it's because he said that to me last night. And I was like, in agreement, yes. But then because it was the first day back yesterday, I was like, well, really, he's got to go because it'll just be harder the longer we leave it. Whereas today, my mindset was like, no, this isn't right. Like, if he's going to go to school to learn, which he finds difficult anyway, he's neurodivergent, like he's had a lot of challenges over the years, but not to go too deep into it, but like there's so much joy in letting kids play in the snow. Like what are we doing? And like for me, I was thinking, well, we used to play in the snow and it was fine. Like we were a bit wet. We might have got a snowball or two, but it was like all part of the adventure. Like drying off in your history lesson made the history lesson more exciting, made you feel more alive. And I'm like, why are we all robots? Like, what's the robot thing? Stop it. So anyway, so he didn't go to school today, and then the roads seemed a bit treacherous. I wouldn't have driven them, but my husband was like, let's just both give them a day off. So anyway, the freedom of being able to say, yes, we're going to do that, and that's going to be how the day is going to play out today. And also being able to be like, but I want to work. Like I've got this course to record. It's called Audience Alchemy. I've been working on it since summer. And I've been waiting for all of the tutorials to like drop in. And honestly, over the Christmas holidays, I was partly in deep press, but partly in like, I cannot wait to record this course. I'm so excited to like speak to my people about it. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing. It launches on Sunday. So yeah, so this idea of legacy, I've been really fascinated with for a while because that call to what are we here to do? Like, what are we here to share? How are we here to connect? Like, do we want to do video podcasts, long form articles, personal essays? Do we want to start a YouTube channel? Do we want to still be posting on Instagram? Like, what are the things that we want to do? And how does that build to our future legacy? Does that enable us to discover the book before the book? Does that enable us to write and reach out to people to write an anthology? Like, there are so many ways to be creative, both online, but then in more analog ways as well. So I'm really fascinated with books and the book writing process. And so I've really committed to that. So this year will be my 6th book, I think, or 7th. I really need to check that. But I think my first book was 2020 and now it's 2026. So it'll be my 6th. But I've also done a couple of anthologies and stuff in between times. But I've also created online and it's felt really fun. And coming back to the fun is really the create joy bit of the January Joyful Growth Challenge that Russell and I are hosting. So we're doing a series of lives with different Substack superstars, I call them. I mean, everyone on Substack's a superstar because it's so brave. But we've got a really diverse range of people, from entrepreneurs to best-selling writers to artists to illustrators, loads of different types of people, to come and talk about how they bring joy into that creative process and like what is it for them. So what feels joyful and what doesn't, like what the opposition is to the joyful creation. So those will be popping up. You can check it out. I need to put the link in again because so many of you have joined. Hang on a second. I'll just put the link in. So if you're not yet signed up to Joyful Growth Club, this is mine and Russell's month-long club for January. It's free, completely free. Every single day there will be posts. And we're not emailing every day because that's a bit much, but we are posting every day. So there will be things for you to digest and read if you want to. And then I'm going to do a roundup for you every Sunday so you can like catch up on the bits that you missed. But please come and subscribe and just be part of the community. There's an intro post so you can meet some of the other people that are signed up to it. And we're not signing up to do anything. Like, we're signing up to feel more joy. We're signing up to understand our creative practice on a deeper level. And by that, I really mean, what is it that we're being called to do, not just here on Substack, but in the wider online world? Because if we feel joyful in that creative practice, and if we understand when we don't feel joyful, and if there's anything that we want to do about that, then we can have more time in the joy, and we can also feel more accomplished. You know, when you're like, oh, I've done this week. I've finished this week. I've achieved this month. Like, I just feel we're in this like really strange place now where we never quite feel like we've achieved enough. You know, when you're like, oh, but like I could have done this or I should have done that. And it's just the world of vanity metrics, I think. But I'm all about finishing work on a Thursday, having a Friday off, thanks to my friend Sarah, who wrote a post about that. Really good post, actually, a couple of years ago on Substack. Look her up, Sarah Rad. She might have been here a minute ago or two, but she might not still be here. If she is, she can put the link. She wrote about taking Fridays off, and I was so jealous. I was like, oh, well, it's all right for you, Sarah. Sarah's my friend. I love her. I was like, oh, it's all right for you, Sarah. And then I thought, wait a minute, like, we could do this. Like, we can take Fridays off. That's possible. Like, that's totally possible. And then so I just looked for more people who were taking Fridays off, who were working part-time hours, who were building businesses that they were really proud of and didn't have income ceilings, and like did prolific things online. And I just found more evidence of more people that were taking more downtime. And then I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And so now I do. And so that sounds really simplistic, but it was inspired by that original idea from my friend Sarah that we don't have to work Fridays. So anyway, it's about creating more space in our lives and more space for our most creative ideas to drop in, yes, but also for our nervous systems to heal, for us to be offline and not as fractious, and all of those things as well. So it's really become part of my value set to just have downtime and to really catch myself when I'm sort of going in and into any of those like not enough, or I should be doing this, and like watching that negative self-talk. My word of the year this year is serenity. And my intention is self-compassion. So yeah, deep breath there, because it does feel like that. It feels like a real permission slip to have some self-compassion. And that we can do that online. So anyway, I've chunted on a lot there, but do you guys have any questions about joyful growth? Like, I'm aware that I'm in a really privileged position that I have grown on Substack. I have 17,000 subscribers. I don't even look at the followers, but there's a lot. I want to talk about that. I love to talk about that. If there's anything that you want to ask about that, if there's anything about my journey, anything about the way that I show up for those subscribers, the things that I do, whether, you know, that is in my paid newsletter model or in my membership model, just let me know, like pop it in the chat and I can answer any questions that you have. What I tend to find on these lives is you guys are quite quiet, but it really helps me when you ask questions. Like I really like it and I like being responsive and I like being helpful and useful. Otherwise I'll probably just end the call anyway. But it was genuinely just a little moment to say Happy New Year to you all, to remind you about the free challenge and to say that I'm really excited about another year on Substack. I think it's going to be a really exciting year here. We're already seeing some shifts and changes. We're seeing some ways that people are using the platform in more creative ways. And yeah, it feels really exciting to be part of that. I know some of you feel overwhelmed by the platform. I know some of you feel overwhelmed by choices, but if I could give you one piece of advice from growing from like literally 0 to 17,000 subscribers and talking to all of the people that I've talked to around joyful growth and growing here, and also keeping that authenticity of what it is that we want to say in the world, it would be to really understand what your long form voice wants to say. So before you try and kind of squish yourself into like notes or podcasts or sections or organize anything, to really give yourself time to flex that muscle of long form spacious writing. Some of them might sit in forever drafts. I hope they don't, but sometimes that is part of our creative practice. And it's fine. And sometimes we need to excavate what is in there before we understand what we're offering out to an audience. So maybe that resonates with some of you, and maybe that's a nice permission slip for the new year, that you are allowed to not be read, that you are allowed to just write your heart out and see what comes out, that you are allowed to let things sit in forever drafts, that you are allowed to kind of create a 6-parter and go down a real rabbit hole with something that you're passionate about, because this is how we really get to the essence of what it is that we're here to say. And I don't know about you, like it's interesting with intuition, isn't it? Because some people just feel like they haven't got that, identity, like they haven't got that intuitive muscle, but like that's all I have. So for me, I'm like, that's all I know. Like I can learn the strategies and I can do the things, but if something feels an intuitive yes, then I'm going to be more creatively on fire and more compelled and confident to share than I would be if I'd like followed a strategy, which is why I don't do blueprints on Substack. I'm always like, this is what we do. It's like joyful growth, yes, but it's a lot about experimentation and it's a lot about flexing that voice of our that muscle of our long form voice. So do you guys have any questions about the Joyful Growth Club in January, about my work, about growing on Substack? Do you want to chime in and say anything? I'm just here chatting to myself. It's always quite strange when when you've had a break and you come back on, you're like, just talking to my phone. Is anyone there? Like, I see your names and that's nice, but like Substack make the number cumulative. So I don't actually know how many people I'm talking to at any one time. So I can get in my head about it a bit. So when you ask questions, it is really helpful. Like, I love your questions. I also really like thinking about if somebody was to listen to this in the future, like what they might get from it. So rather than it be like a closed shop of just this live interaction, whether there would be people who listen to the replay and then were like, oh yeah, like I'm going to do this, or I'm going to take that, or I'm going to journal on that, or whatever it is. So yeah, do let me know if you do have any questions, and I'm definitely going to change my main publication back over. One of the biggest questions I get actually is about running multiple publications on here. I could chat about that a little bit before I go. One of the reasons that I did it was that Sparkle on Substack was born out of Creatively Conscious. So Creatively Conscious is the name of my company. And it is my constant invite to stay creatively conscious with all that I do. And by that, I mean really connected to myself, my creative practice, the environment, the world at large, even the scary bits. But mainly it's about being able to feel like I can give something back. So anyway, so my newsletter was called Creatively Conscious on Substack. And at that point, like, it wasn't a newsletter at all, actually. It was a place for personal essays. I absolutely poured my heart out, guys. If you go back in those archives, oof, I had a lot to say. Like, I had a lot that needed to be unearthed in that space, and that was beautiful and fine. And then I moved my MailChimp newsletter into Creatively Conscious. It's called Notes from the Sea. So I still send that periodically. So every other month or so, I'll send that one. And that's really about wholehearted living on the Northumberland coast. But I started this series just as a kind of experiment, really. around staying creative on Substack, because I just thought, why is everything so drab and dry? And why is everyone so serious? I was like, Substack's so serious. Why is everyone so serious? And so I was like, stay creative on Substack, folks. And this was the invitation. Anyway, it just went nuts. And so I was like, okay, like I'll do 6 of them. Like I've got loads to say. Let's say I'll do 6. So that was like my container. I'm going to do 6 of these. So I said to everybody, I want to do 6 of these, but just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the creatively conscious identity got completely squashed, because I was like, oh, I haven't got a voice anymore. I've lost my voice because people are here thinking that I'm going to talk about Substack stuff, and I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to just do that. So anyway, I birthed a new publication called Sparkle on Substack, with its own identity, with its own magic, with its own boldness, with a completely different brand. And it felt great. You know, it was just like, this is the place. Like, I'm going to build a membership. Like, thanks so much to the people that jumped in with me. Like June 2023 it was when I built that membership. And I had no idea whether anyone was going to pay me for Substack advice. But they did, and they keep doing so. So I'm very grateful. But it meant that Creatively Conscious had the identity back that I wanted, which was the space about talking about life in the slow lane, entrepreneurialism, you know, really getting to grips with how to balance the motherhood piece with the being like a parent carer for my husband. Like, there's just so much going on at the time. I just really wanted to have that voice there. So it was a necessity thing, rather than like, oh, I've got all these different things to talk about, I'll set up 2 Substacks. So that's how it was birthed. And then from there, I saw lots of opportunity to birth more Substacks, but I sat on my hands because it's actually a lot of work managing multiple Substacks. So I do have another one. I have one with Russell, which is for the January Joyful Growth Challenge. But I also have another one that I use as like a pop-up Substack to launch like intensives and things like that we do. So I ran last year's challenges on it for the Sparkle on Substack members, and it was amazing. I am being called to do another one. I'm laughing because I'm just like, oh. And I have to be so careful because I am a multi-passionate, like, and I can manage all of the different strands of things. But I've only just got things to a place where it feels really good. And like, to do another Substack, I'm like, so I'm not doing anything about that just yet. I'm going to just stick with what I've got. Maybe if I still feel that way in April, I will. But my advice usually to people is, don't start multiple Substacks, because you don't need to niche here. You can be all of the things that you've wanted to be across the internet airwaves in one place, and you can take your audience with you on that journey. So yes, they're here for you, but you can share multiple elements of yourself and lots of nuance within it all. And you can also kind of do series and end them and start new ones and all that sort of thing. Anyway, Francis is saying, Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to the Sparkle planning session. I was just wondering how your publication all tied together. Thank you. Oh, that's good. Yeah, so we on Sparkle next week, we have goal and visioning session, which is like my favorite session of the year. So we get A3 pieces of paper, and I really get everybody super, super embodied and connecting to a really expansive version of themselves, still connected to Substack, but not with any of the shackles of the things that we might have told ourselves towards the end of last year, or things that we might have been sad or disappointed about. So it's like proper expansive visioning. And then we do some gentle goal setting around that. So it's really interesting with goal setting, because I go between like, yeah, that feels like a really good and easeful, achievable goal, to like really fearful. So like a clamshell, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to say that out loud. And so I've not always been like this, but I think sometimes when you've had success online, and I feel like I have had success online and in my business the last couple of years, you get this nervous system response, which is like, everyone's going to take it off me, like the shoe's going to drop, you know, like weird feelings like that. So trying to just like rewire that nervous system sense of safety and expansiveness and get back into the vision. Because I mean, I just was living inside of my vision board, you know, like everything on my vision board. I've done vision boards for years. It's all in Creatively Conscious, actually. I used to host workshops over there about visioning, but literally every single thing like was brought into reality. And then it was almost like too much for me, you know, like, oh. Like in the best way, but also like it just feels really overwhelming when when you're used to striving and like wanting things that feel really far away. When it's all here, just feels really overwhelming. And like beautifully so, but like, yeah, it's taken me a while to recalibrate. Um, Oh, yeah, Gail, I just did an impromptu live. This is what I do sometimes. So, no, it wasn't a planned live. It was just, I'm going to go live. Basically, what happened was I was recording my course modules for Audience Alchemy and I started having a little cry, like live in my course modules, because I was talking about how proud I felt of the previous version of myself. And it was like so unexpected. But basically, I was on YouTube. I was talking people through YouTube and like what I do on YouTube and why, and like how it's built legacy and how it's helped me understand what it is that I've got to say and like grown confidence with video and all that sort of stuff. But previous to that, I'd clicked on a link from my website that had taken me to the very first video that I made when I was pregnant with my daughter, heavily pregnant with my daughter. And I just was looking at that version of myself and I just was like, this is so bizarre. Like, I don't think I would have ever chosen to watch that video again, but because it was presented to me, I was just like, I had so much compassion for that previous version of myself because I can remember being terrified. I can remember putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And then in the end, I just turn up with like messy hair and dungarees, like really heavily pregnant in my kitchen to speak about this project that I was really passionate about at the time, Creativity Island for Mums, it was called. And I just had so much compassion for the person that just like did it, because that first one, it's always the hardest. And like, yes, you can find things hard after the first time, but my experience is that it gets increasingly easier. Um, there's funny things that happen along the way. Like sometimes, if you get an influx of new people or if these is my massive trigger. If certain people subscribe, I'm like, oh, like I feel shy. I feel like I didn't really know they were going to subscribe and I don't know if I can write for them. But anyway, there's all these sorts of things that you have to navigate. But yeah, it was good tears. It was just, it took me aback a bit. And so I thought I'm going to have a break from recording the course. And just speak to Substack Live because obviously it's a different audience. So the people that have bought the course, Audience Alchemy, I looked at all their names this morning and I'm speaking directly to them because obviously I don't know who's going to buy it in the future. So I'm making it for them and a version of like all of us really, but I think it just set me off a bit. So yeah, no, it was beautiful. But this is why I always talk about self-compassion, right? Because there's so much of going through this process of communicating online and showing up on social media and like awkwardness around it, especially if you haven't grown up with it. Like I'm an elder millennial, so I've grown up with it in a way, but because I had a career that was well outside of the realm of like social media and showing up online, I had to learn it and like cultivate it away from being like a BBC journalist. Like I didn't and couldn't be like a BBC journalist. So I've had to do a lot of lessons around visibility and I've had a lot of brilliant mentors, yes, but I've also had an embodied practice that's really served me and really helped me. So yeah, so I thought I'd just pop on and do an impromptu live to promote what Russell and I are doing for the month. Let me tell you who is coming on live. That's a nice thing that I can tell you. I just imagine you guys are just in your office, just having a bit of a listen to me chunter on. So I will tell you who is coming on. I'll miss some people if I don't read it out. Okay. No, that's it. Here it is. Oh, I pinned it. That was good of me, wasn't it? 16 likes. Not judging myself for getting 16 likes. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm indifferent this year. Okay, so we're going to post all the replays because I know somebody always asks. So Russell and Seth are going live on the 7th. Oh, I thought that was today. Sad. I love listening to Seth. He's one of my favorite people on the internet. So Seth is over at Social Media Escape Club and he's awesome. So they're going to chat at 1 p.m. PT. You guys can work that out in your own time zone. I cannot do that for you. And then on the 8th, I'm speaking to Ellen Petronella, which is so bizarre. Ellen and I have never done a Substack live or anything live together on the internet, but we have been speaking to each other for 2 whole years. And so I just love that we're doing this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love Ellen. I think she's absolutely amazing. I'm very good friends with her. I love her, but I just think this is such perfect time and I can't wait for the live energy for that one. Ellen is an embroidery artist if you haven't come across her work, and she writes Follow Your Gut here on Substack. Then Russell and Adam Ming, who is an illustrator and entrepreneur, are going to speak on January the 8th as well, which is at 4 p.m. PT. You can put all of these in your diary if you want, folks. You just go onto Joyful Growth Club and then the pinned post, it's on there. So they're going to have a chat. Now, Adam Ming is one of the first people to pay for Sparkle on Substack, and I was delighted. So Adam was very ambitious, is very ambitious. Like, he's done really good things here, and he was learning as much as he possibly could. I think he was in my group, and he was in Sarah Faye's as well. And he was doing loads on Twitter. He was doing loads of geeky stuff around how to get audience in. And he has evolved and re-evolved his newsletter loads of times. We did this beautiful session together for illustrators to meet artists in the early days of my Substack education journey. And it was so fun. It was just basically talking about how we add more illustrative opportunities inside of Substack, like how we give illustrators more opportunities, but also how we think about inviting our audience in with illustrations. It was really fun. It'll probably be somewhere. It'll be on Sparkle somewhere. Then Russell and Michael Simmons are going to go live on the 12th of January. Russell says, Michael has built an amazing business and newsletter with over 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to hear from someone who has 100,000 subscribers, that's a lot, isn't it? That's a big amount of people. And then on the same day, myself and Alex Klingenberg, I had to think about that, who has a beautiful book. I won a competition, actually. I'll just tell you all my crack today. So I won a beautiful competition and won Alex's book, and also one of Beth Kempton's books. And it arrived on like this day when I was just feeling a bit sort of sad and flat. And it was just the most beautiful delivery. So good. So that's 12th of January. Then on the 22nd of January, I'm speaking to lovely Erin Shetron. So Erin is one of the first people that I came across on Substack. So I had like this major sort of geek out with everything Substack. And there was this Substack, I was obsessed with her writing. She's called Rachel Katz. And I was obsessed with her writing. She wrote this Substack called Lady Illness Library. And it was about her journey in Silicon Valley and her journey with illness, but also she would interview people as well. And I just thought she was the most beautiful writer. And then one day she mentioned that Erin was her editor, and I was like, "Ooh, people have got editors for their Substacks. I love that. What is that all about?" Anyway, I've made Erin my friend, really. I also employed her to work with me and give me some support on my newsletter last year, because I treat myself to working with somebody for my paid newsletter every year, like a bit of a business expense, you know. So she helped me with Creatively Conscious. She was great. I really like her. So yeah, we're going to talk about Writing Life, Substack lessons. Me and Erin obviously get to see a lot of dashboards, so we see a lot of stuff. And we're just going to like spill a bit for you guys and like tell you what we see and how we feel. A lot of the stuff that comes up for people, you know, some of it can be money mindset, but some of it can be like people have expectations of how people are doing. And then the people that we support, like, everybody has the same worries, is what I want to say. Like, everybody's worried about the same sort of stuff, whether you've got 10 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers. Then on the 26th, I'm going to chat with David Speed, who is an amazing artist. You need to check out his articles as well, because he writes prolifically around the artist's life and creative process. He's got a touch of activism in there as well, which I always like. So we're going to talk about creating online whilst not giving your best work to social media giants. There's this real tightrope at the moment with Substack and like where we're at, because obviously people are putting more energy into notes. It has become a social media as well as having this beautiful, you know, idea of a publication or a newsletter or a set of personal essays. So there's this fine balance that people are trying to sort of work out, where it's like, okay, well, I'll post to notes, but then also like I want to make that into a post as well. Or from the post, I'm going to extract some of it to notes. People just can't create that much for that long for like all of their lives. Then I've got Claire Powell, who is an illustrator who does a lot of lives here. So we're going to chat on the 28th. And then I'm going to chat with Nico. I've already got the date in, but I haven't put that in yet. And then Anna Wharton as well, my journalist friend. So Russell and I did a launch for the programme a couple of days ago. So that is there. You can catch the replay of that. Russell goes on a bit of a rant and he has a tiny dagger. that's also a letter opener. You can watch him rant about things. It's really fun. He's so good and so generous. So you can watch that if you want to. We're going to post all the replays and they'll all be on Joyful Growth Club. And that's just something that we wanted to do to just kickstart everybody's year and get everybody feeling really good about creating. Yeah. So I guess if you guys haven't got any other questions, I'll pop off. But I'm always here for you in your questions. I will obviously be going live with the people that I've mentioned, and I'll do some more solo lives and stuff. I do love doing lives. I love it better when you ask questions. So I maybe just prepare people a bit more and give you some space and time to think about questions. I've also got a couple of episodes of the podcast Sparkle on Substack that I didn't email out. So there's an amazing one with Sharon Blackie. I'm actually on it, but like it's fine. Like it's fine. I mean, she's amazing, isn't she? And I just got a bit nervous, but like whatever, you know, I've still got to turn up and do the stuff. So that one is out. And then I did a bit of a recap of 2025 and talk a lot about nervous system stuff, subconscious rewiring, like all of that headspace that I was in that felt a bit big last year. So talk about that in the wrap up. And then I've got some new episodes to put out that my editor sent me. So I will put those out as well. But yeah, I'm just excited to get back into writing and back into showing up. Like I said, we've got the visioning call for the membership on Monday. I've also got a free class on Monday afternoon. You guys might want to come to this. Let me put the link in. So it's part of my Audience Alchemy brand, which is a bit different to Sparkle. Well, it's different and it's part of the same. Like that's what I want to say with that. But this is a free planning party. So the idea is that it's really fun, but we're thinking about where your work meets your audience and making sure that you guys have got time to give yourself this year so that you're not feeling like you've got to do more, so that you get really centered and settled with when you're going to show up, what you're going to do whether it's podcasts, live videos, social media posts, how it all fits together. So it's part of my bigger program, but this is just a free event next week. So I've put the Luma link here and I'll put it in the replay as well. It's going to be on Monday afternoon, I think. I'm still getting my head around what day it is, to be honest, guys. Yeah, so Monday afternoon at 3. And the Sparkle Visioning Retreat is Monday morning at 9:30. So not great for those of you in the American time zones, but there'll be a replay. But yeah, as always, I am rooting for you on Substack this year. I'm so excited to be back. Like it's really nice to have a break. I take a break in August for a month. And then I think my Christmas break was like a little over 2 weeks, maybe like 3 weeks. And I just think it helps me so much just to get really, really centered, really, really grateful for what's gone, but then really energized for what to do next. I think if we're constantly showing up and constantly delivering, it can get really tiring. Without us realizing, it just becomes a new normal. And I'm all for giving us more space around recentering. Like we don't need to just create the new normals all the time. Like we can actually take the time to listen to ourselves and think about what we want as creators, as writers, as people that want to show up and connect with communities online. Anyways, thank you all for joining in. Happy New Year. I hope you have a wonderful month here on Substack. Do come and join us over at the Joyful Growth Club. Russell and I will be there every single day this month doing something. So there'll be something short form to read or watch, and you'll be able to catch up with that as well. We do have a masterclass actually at the very end. So if you want to learn from Russell and I, the last masterclass we did was Secrets of Substack Bestsellers, and it was focused on getting you guys to be bestsellers. And it was really good actually, because you realize, because we're both so geeky about the platform, we were able to talk people through and walk people through strategies that then for one of them within that weekend they were a bestseller, and for another one it was within a week. So sometimes you're so close to a milestone that you might want, but you're just telling yourself, well, I'll just keep doing the same, and it's like, actually, like we can just get you there a bit quicker. So our masterclass this time is called Evolve, and the reason that it's called Evolve is because me and Russell are in a real period of evolving on Substack, because we've been creating, we're going into our 4th year creating here on Substack, and obviously it's changed a lot, but we've changed a lot as well. And where we want to speak to people and the meeting point for alchemy has changed. So we've called it Evolve. It's free to my Diamond members. So if you're in my Diamond membership, you get it for free. But otherwise, it's at the very end of the Joyful Growth month that we're doing. So if you are curious about our styles, and we do have quite different styles, then do check it out. I'll make sure that it's linked in the replay. So if you're looking for it, then it will be linked in the replay. Goodness knows where this live's going to go to. I mean, I'm losing the plot with so many Substacks, but I think it's going to go on Creatively Conscious, and I won't post it there. I'll put it on Sparkle, and I'll put it on Joyful Growth because it's more relevant there. Oh, Georgina's here. Hi, Georgina. Snowy London. Zoki, yes, you can watch on replay later. Yeah, so let me be really clear then. So not basically what happened is, if you missed the beginning, because I accepted a guest post request from somebody that I've guest posted for, and I wanted that to be on Creatively Conscious, which is like my more like wholehearted newsletter. So it's more of like the behind the scenes of my business. It was a better fit for that, but it rejigged all of my publications. So usually my lead publication is Sparkle, but for the month of January, I've changed it to the Joyful Growth Club because we're running a month-long free activity month, and I wanted people to understand that that was there and that was an opportunity. But now I went on, and I think I've gone live on Creatively Conscious. Anyway, it's fine. You live and learn. The other exciting thing that I was telling people at the beginning is that you can now smooth out your appearance on Substack Lives, which I'm delighted by. I'm absolutely delighted. And it's not a vanity thing. It is a bit of a vanity thing. It's just that I don't want to have the thought of how tired I look every time I come on to do my work, because I'm so used to on social media just being able to put like a gentle filter on, or even I think my phone just has one on. And like, I don't know, I just got so used to it. Then on Substack Live, I'd just always be like, oh, I look so tired. I really need to try and get more sleep, get some more fresh air. Like, it would just always be this nagging voice. And it did hold me back quite a bit. There's some videos that I did where I look so tired, like I just have it. I just didn't send them anywhere afterwards. I was like, oh, I just look so tired. There's no way. I'm just being really real with you guys, because obviously there is that consideration. Like, it is hard and exposing to show up online. And so we've got to pick our battles when we've got that negative self-talk. So,